my advice to anyone who wants to get their dream job, this is how I would do it. So when it comes to getting your first job, there are several ways of doing it. You can always, get experience with like a local company, start working your way up there. You can also look at a dream agency and kind of work out what do they need that maybe you could provide. But when you approach these people, it's not going to work out fantastically for you either way, because if you get the job at the lower down local place, there's a good chance that their culture or their level of ambition probably isn't that high, and that's probably not going to develop your skills. And if you go to the top place too early, you're not going to be ready and they're going to reject you, and that's going to break your heart and really kill your confidence. I did a degree in graphic design at Kingston in London, and when I finished that, I decided I had enough of graphic design. I wanted to get into advertising, so I punted the degree, teamed up with a copywriter, and we started from scratch trying to get a job in advertising. And this meant learning on the go. So a lot of our time was spent going to see people who were kind enough to see us, showing our portfolio and getting it torn apart gradually. And we would slowly improve. And the sequence usually is you get good enough and you've built enough of a rapport to get a placement. And then when you're on a placement, you either are good enough to get hired, or there's an opportunity comes around where they win some business and you might get hired, and then you get a job, and then you're working your way up from there. So you've got to wait for a lot of things to sort of fall into your lap. What we found, because it took us about 18 months to get a job, the interesting bit was we started to say no to the smaller agencies because we wanted to hold out and try and land in one of the big ones. And by staying in the game longer, you have that opportunity. But it's also, if you're in too long, people wonder, why haven't you been hired? But we were fortunate enough to kind of hold out for long enough and develop enough so that when we did eventually get that sort of placement, we were able to do really well, which led to a job interview. And so that was kind of the sequence, the way up that we did it. The way I probably would have done it now, and the big contributing factor when I look back is money. So when I was doing it, my grandfather's, in his will, he left me an inheritance of about £15,000. And that's what I used to pay my rent in London for that kind of year and a half time. Because when you're on placement, you're paid very little. So if I hadn't have had that money, I wouldn't have been able to stick at it for so long, and I would have had to take a more conventional job. So that taught me the value of having a nest egg. So my advice to anyone who wants to get their dream job, this is how I would do it. I would pick my number one place. I would go all out and be really confident and just go, right, this is my number one. There is no number two. I would then go, okay, what is it that I need to provide so they will be interested in me? So what talent, what skills do I need to learn, and what do I need to develop in order for me to get in the door? Then I would go away and I would take a crappy job that I hated that paid me really well. So this might be delivery driving, Uber, working in a call center, something which is, easy to get, pays really well, but is slightly soul crushing. Because what you need is, if you have a soul crushing job while you're in it earning money, you'll be desperate to do the creativity you want to do in your life. So you'll spend your evenings and your weekends honing your portfolio, which is being built to showcase to that dream agency how good you can be. So when you're built in the weekends and the evenings or early mornings, that's when you build your portfolio with your passion, because you hate your job, but your job is allowing you to save a nest egg. So when you work out where your dream agency is and in what city it's in, calculate how much money you need to save for 6 months. And that's your nest egg. Once you've saved up enough for 6 months, then you can go and apply to that dream agency. So you work hard, save up for 6 months. So let's say it's £1,000 a month. So you need to save £6,000. So that's living expenses for 6 months in, say, London. And then you go to your dream agency with your crafted portfolio, all of your new knowledge and your hunger, and you say, I want to work for you for free for 6 months. And if at the end of it, I've proven myself, I expect to be given a job. But I also will say, if I haven't proven myself for the 6 months, I don't deserve a job, and there's no obligation to hire me. Now, most people are going to say yes because you're free, and they will find a way to fit you in. The fact that you are showing ambition and drive makes you really attractive. And then if your portfolio is actually good and relevant, you're useful. When you're in the door, because getting in the door is the hardest bit, that's when you need to build relationships. So you need to get to know all the people in the building, build that network. Because at the end of the 6 months, when they weigh up whether to give you a job or not, it's going to come down to how much you fit into the company culture, how hard you work, how talented you are, and how likable you are. because people want to work with people they like. So if you can nail all those things and get on with everyone and everyone likes you and everything, you've got a hell of a chance of landing that dream job. And you've only had to kind of give up probably a maximum of a year of your life, 6 months saving, 6 months working. Now, even if they say no, it doesn't matter, because when you take all of your network, your experience, your new portfolio, and you go to the number 2 agency and said, I've just spent 6 months there. They didn't have the capacity to hire me, but I'd love to come work for you. Do you have any spaces? They will take you in a heartbeat, because all of the people in the top agency will happily refer you. And that network that you've now built of top people will protect you and help you get works and help build your reputation and open more doors. So even if you don't get number 1, you're going to get number 2 and maybe even number 3. So now you've landed your dream job in one of the top 3 agencies in the world in a city which you're now fully familiar with. You know how much money you need to live so you can negotiate your contract, and you're settled. If you take that local job or a job's earlier on, smaller down in an agency, they will blunt your creativity. And you'll only know this because when you say, right, I'm finally leaving, I'm going to apply for that job at that top agency, they won't even look at your portfolio because it won't be good enough. And you won't have noticed how bad you'd become. And that's criminal, because the top agencies never hire from the really small people lower down. They just don't do it. It's like anything in sport, anything. So don't be that person. Don't give up early. Build that nest egg. Build that hunger, be ambitious, and then make yourself absolutely essential to what's going on. I promise you that will get you a dream job every time.